Hello everybody and welcome to another fly tying session with your host Scott. So we're going to be tying the Mallard and Claret, and in the vise we have a Camazan B405 in size 10. You could use a Camazan B170 or 175. In fact, I'd probably recommend those pattern of hook, to be honest. Thread wise, we're going to be using a black thread by Uni in 8/0. That's your go-to thread for traditional wet flies, I think. They all pretty much use black thread. You can depart from the norm if you want to. For the rib, we're going to be using a gold tinsel. This is a holographic one. Yes, it's a modern tinsel. I appreciate that. You can add a modern twist to these older patterns if you want to, and they will work. The original pattern uses a French oval tinsel in gold, small. For the body, we're going to be using a claret dubbing of some description. This is a rabbit fur. I've dyed claret. It was originally bleached white. You could use a claret wool that you've blended, that you've dubbed yourself using a coffee grinder. You could use SLF. You could use pretty much anything that's dyed claret. For the tail, we've got golden pheasant tippet. Seems to be a regular appearance in 19th century wet flies. I think my theory is as the British Empire expanded into Southeast Asia, such as Singapore, Hong Kong, India, Hong Kong especially, because the bird's native to China, I would have thought that we came into contact with these birds, and then the material started coming back into the old world, let's say, and they started to appear in fly patterns, especially salmon patterns. In the mid to late 19th century, so that's where that material seems to be coming from. It was probably the 19th century version of Fritz. It was just stuck on everything at one stage. There was a bit of an 80s and 90s revolution with Fritz. For the wing, we're going to be using some bronze mallard, as the pattern would suggest, and for the hackle, we've got some. This is a ginger cock cape. Brown, and any hackle will do. You could probably use a hen hackle as well if you wanted to make it slightly softer. I like to use stiffer cock hackle fibres. Especially if you're fishing coloured water, especially, you need to have a fly that's going to create some vibration as well. You don't want it to rip through the water smoothly and unfelt. Fish do feel things go past them along the lateral line, and it's worth having something that creates a bit of a disturbance in the water, in my opinion. That's how I work with them anyway. So we're going to come in at the eye, and we're going to bed the hook. And we're going to go down to where the bend starts, and when the thread dangles, it'll be between the point of the barb on this pattern of hook. And then we're going to trim away. Then we're going to get our golden pheasant tippet. And we're going to cut a small slip of that off. There's a bit of a method to doing this. You can pull a feather off if you want. It does make it a bit easier to handle. So if you pull it off the skin, like so, and just grab it between finger and thumb at the ends there, and come in with your scissors and cut the amount that you want off, and then just slide it away like that so it all stays in line. Then come in with your other finger, the finger and thumb, and grab it like that, and they should all be in line then. Now with the fly this size, I normally have it so I'll tie it just in front of the second black bar. Like so. And then we're going to get some of the holographic tinsel. And offer that up and tie it in. And put that in your material clip out the way. Then we're going to trim, so you've got about 2 head lengths away from the eye. And then tidy up. And then go back down. Use wide turns if you want to. You're going to be dubbing over it in a second, so it doesn't have to be too neat, this one. If you was doing a tinsel body, I'd insist on doing close turns on the way back down as well. Then we're going to get our dubbing. Now, I'm not entirely sure what this fly is meant to represent. I think it's more of an attractor pattern. So if the fish are switched on to anything claret or red, then this is what I'll probably put on if you wanted to stick to your traditional wet flies. So you want the fluffy under fur really. Try and avoid the guard hairs if you can. But if you do get a few in, it's not a problem. You're going to need to be a bit tighter with the tail there, the butt of the fly there. So we'll go back. That's better. I need to drop more dubbing, I think. I find that if you're not using dubbing wax or whatever you use to help the dubbing stick, then natural furs are a lot easier to dub. If you're using some sort of wax, then you can get away with the synthetic ones if that's what you prefer to use. So we're going to stop 2 head lengths away from the eye, and we're going to wind our rib. Tie it in. I suppose in a way it was probably an old way of representing a bloodworm, maybe. I'm clutching at straws there. There we go. So then we're going to get our hackle feather. Now it looks like it might be about right from there. So strip those off. So there's quite a heavy taper in this feather, as you may be able to see. No, still a bit long there, I think. We'll go from there. That's better. and trim away. And then search for your hackle pliers. What have you done with those? Okay, then get your hackle pliers. You want about 3 turns. Once you've got your first turn in of the thread, you can move it 90 degrees away, or close to 90 degrees, just to stop you catching too many going forward. Trim away, brush back, tidy up just a little bit, and that'll help push them back at an angle slightly, like so. And then you're going to get your bronze mallard and tie your wing. There's a few different methods you can do with this. I found the most effective one is to just tear a bunch off and then roll them between finger and thumb and tie them in as a bunch. If it looks a bit thin, you can add another bunch. You can make this as heavy or as sparse as you like, basically. I think that'll probably do us. It's very similar to a teal, blue and silver wing where you just put a bunch in, basically. Trim away. And then start to form your head. You go to the eye and work your way back. As wet fly patterns go, I'd probably rate this as a relatively easy one. So if you're just getting into it, this is probably the one to kick off with, or one of them. There's quite a few out there that are fairly simple. I'll come in a whip finish. Try not to catch a hackle. There we are. And for a first time tie, that's not too bad. I'm quite happy with that. There we are. That's the Mallard and Claret. So we're going to add some varnish to the head. You might need a couple of coats. You need quite a nice shiny head on it. Now I don't buy proper head cement, I actually use a clear nail varnish from Poundland. and I find it does just as good a job. There we are. That is the Mallard and Claret. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.